And we are going. Welcome to Strategies with Soul. I'm your host, Heidi Mitro. And today I have one of the coolest chicks that you need to know on. I'm so excited because I've been the recipient of Tamika's brilliance, and I just want you to know her. I want you to follow her example. I want you to get into the language and how she uses it. You're just going to love her. So welcome to the show, Tamika Auwai. I'm so happy you're here, honey. Thanks for being here.
Why, thank you. The pleasure is mine for sure.
I
Great
know.
way to kick off a week. Yeah.
I mean, yes,
Yeah.
I love it. So thank you for joining. And this episode is specifically for you. Okay, this is twofold. One, if you're a business owner and you're like, what is the actual secret to lead nurturing? We're not talking lead generation, and we'll talk about that in a minute. This episode is also for you if you're looking for an example of someone who is the boss, like the boss of your life, the boss of your business, the boss in the best definition of that term. So that's actually where we're going to start, if you're okay with that, sweetie.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. So right before we hit record, we were talking about what's it like to be the boss? And I would love to know your definition of boss, because I think it's very similar to my definition of leader. Yeah. But I would love to know your definition of boss.
Yeah, I think, that's a really good question, because I don't actually use the word boss a lot. The conversation we were having beforehand was my son had come in, he's 6, and he's like, Mom, why do you have to be the boss? And I think he was trying to allude to the fact that he wanted me to not work and hang out with him and watch shows or something like that. And and so I was like, oh, well, because I choose to be, because I love it. Right. So that's kind of where it came from. But yeah, I don't usually say it often. For me, a boss is, it really is leadership. Yeah. It really is about leading, self-leadership first and foremost, but also leading others towards a common goal, ideally a worthy one, ideally one that is, and for me, worthy is beneficial to the highest good. Right. Yeah. And I think, for me, I guess if I were to use, again, language being so important, right? Boss has these connotations, has an energy of iron fist and telling people what to do. And, Heidi, we were talking about corporate days and being in the boss's office for random things.
Because we were unintentional problem children, because we were like, why do I have to take a lunch?
Exactly. highly unemployable, even though we were great at what we did. Right. But yeah, so boss has all that kind of heavy energy. But the one thing that I would take from the word boss is the willingness to make hard decisions, the willingness to do the thing when nobody else wants to or is willing to do it. I see that as being an aspect of boss energy as well. I'm one of the few entrepreneurs in my friend group, and they're like, you get to do these things. I'm like, yeah, but there's hard shit to do too. Right. So,
totally.
I'm willing to, to do this so I can do the other. Right.
I love what you're speaking to. Boss has never been that term for me either, right? That's not been the leader, even sometimes has kind of a masculine energy. There's a word is it creatrix?
Yeah, I use that.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
That
so
often, yeah.
How bomb is her language? It's so creative. It's one of the reasons I was so attracted to Tamika and why I hired her for my nurture sequencing, which we'll talk about. But this willingness to make hard decisions, you guys, how many of you understand that language? There has to be a willingness to make hard decisions. And Tamika, I'm wondering from you, what is a strategy that you use when you have to make hard decisions? Because when you are the leader of a company, when you are an entrepreneur, when you are a mother, when you are a friend, a daughter, all of these roles, hard decisions are inevitable. But how do you make them? What's your compass?
Yeah, I'll tell you how I used to make them, because I think that's kind of funny. I used to make them, big intellect, kind of go through the whole pros, cons, and all those pieces. And it doesn't work to make decisions, to make hard decisions by intellect only. So don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Right. But I laugh because I can really remember, myself kind of literally really like the line down the paper and it's kind of, you know, pros and cons and weighing everything out and really just cycling and not ever feeling confident about the decision. So,
Yes.
right. So luckily, I grew, evolved from that. And today, you know, the intellect still comes in, right? There are still some elements, you know, depending on what the decision is, right? There's some rational and logical things that, you know, you might want to consider. But really it's a beautiful blend of masculine and feminine. It's intellect and intuition. So that might mean a decision is made by yes, you know, looking at the black and white, you know, of it all, but it may also involve me being in meditation, me pulling some tarot or some oracle cards or something like that, you know, to bring in some guidance. It may mean me journaling, you know, until I get past the intellectual stuff that comes out, right? You know, that process, right?
Yes.
All right. You start and it's all so logical. And then all of a sudden something comes up and you're like, oh, you know, and for me too, like, and this is a newer iteration, I'm excited to kind of chat with you about this as well, because this is your jam, but like in the last year, it's really also been a feeling space in my body. How does it feel, you know, when I'm weighing the options, how do they feel in my body?
Yes.
You know, so again, not throwing away the logic, although I do sometimes. My husband and I will be talking about something and he'll like give me like the logical, oh, this is what you, and I'm like, can't it be the other way? That's completely rational. So I need, you know, we need that balance, right? He definitely balances, keeps the 2 feet on the ground. But yeah, it's a real holistic approach to decision making now.
I love that. And I think it allows for the best of the best, because I think you and I are very smart women. Like we're smart. We can very logically, very practically make things happen. And when we come in more fully, when we allow for that intuitive hit, when we allow for the body to speak, it is much more comprehensive, more holistic. And one of the tools that I've used, when you're talking about the pros and cons list, I love that. One of the things that I've shifted to is a pros and a pros list.
Ooh, I love that.
And I know, write this down.
Awesome.
So here's a strategy with soul friends. It's a pros and a pros list. However, in addition to that, you can rank each of them. We were moving to the town that we're in. It was like, okay, the pros of staying in this town or the pros of moving, because I needed to have all of it acknowledged. Even if it was like, oh, there's a park across the street, or, you know, whatever it was. And then I would rank them 1 to 10, how important they were. And I had way more like physical numbers of things in the one column, but when I ranked it, this other column outweighed it. And it was like, but everything got heard. Every piece of it where it was like, oh, it's so sweet, and this is where my kids were born, and that is a 10 out of 10 special. But where are my kids going to school, and where, you know, where are all of these other things? That was a 10 out of 10. So everything got acknowledged. But yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. I think as you were speaking, what I was hearing you say as well, it's like being smart women, the logical decision probably would be a sound one.
Yes.
And the experience of the consequences of that decision, not nearly as fulfilling. And so right. So what I'm really feeling now with kind of this more balanced, for me, it's balanced approach to decision making. It's like I get to, I like, I'm trying to think of a time that that's not true. I mean, I'm sure there is somewhere, but clearly I'm remembering the experience of you know, the action reaction, right? So the consequences of the decision feel that much more fulfilling.
Well, and I mean, you and I have had the chance to work together in lots of different ways. And most recently, I hired you to help me with my own nurture matrix. Such a sexy term. Don't you love how she uses words? I just love it. And I have to just be super transparent, really like vulnerable a little bit. I was surprised at how you really did take my intuition, and that was like what we actually did. I kept waiting for you to intellectualize it. I kept waiting as we're going through my spreadsheet, which I love a sexy spreadsheet, by the way, but I kept waiting for you to like make it headier. And you didn't. It was like, we just kept going deeper and we kept going deeper. And as I'm creating my content now, it's like, oh God, this is really me. This is really my stuff. And is that okay? And what I appreciate about working with you is that you honor the intuitive hit. You honor how it feels in my body. You honor that I'm smart. And you gave me such a gorgeous strategy. Oh God, if you're in business at all and you need that strategy of like, how do I structure my content? Just hire her. Don't even think about it. Just freaking do it. But there was such a permission to be me and to be whole. So I have to know, what was the maturation, the evolution of creating this nurture matrix, not content creation, but this nurture sequencing. Can you like run me through that? I just want to know.
Yeah, certainly. So, it came into being really through working. I was working with I'd taken I'm like, I need a break. Right. I'm like, I need a break. I was trying to figure out, I had kind of bridged the gap between my first business, which was still in marketing, but serving a different audience, and fashion, by the way, if anyone's curious. I had a fashion event marketing business. I used to do pop-ups and all those things. Yeah. Before I was like 10 years ago, before people were like, renting random buildings to like have fashion events. I was like, hi, sir, you have an empty real estate place here. Can I bring some people and have a party? And they're like,
why?
Okay, why, what? No, that sounds illegal. What's going to happen? So, that's where I started, and love fashion, and fashion's a very interesting industry for a lot of reasons. One of the biggest being that they are waiting for Beyonce to wear all of their things and have all their money tied up in inventory. So they don't have huge marketing budgets, right? They need an influencer, they need a Beyonce. That's how they're trying to get famous. So it wasn't a very lucrative industry to be in for me at the time. And I, had some stuff to work through as well around shifting the reality so that I could find the folks who did have the budgets. So anyway, I needed to take a break from that and was trying to figure out what to do next, and hired my first coach, started, kind of getting into the coaching world. Still wasn't sure what I wanted to be next, but I'm like, okay, I'm a marketer. That's what I did corporately. So I'm like, I'll start doing the marketing thing. I'll do consulting and that kind of thing. It was still kind of going slower than I wanted to. And so I took a role as content creator for a very successful coach, kind of 7-figure coaching business, the cliche, but it actually was true in real life. Right. And the benefit of that was that I really,
and now that's like your MO, right? Like it's now it's like, that is who
generally, and I'm so blessed to say, like, we're finally at the place where we are introducing offerings for folks who are kind of in the emerging space. That wasn't a place that I could be in for a while, because just financially I needed to have retainers that could sustain me and my family. Things that you learn when you come from serving an industry that doesn't have enough money. The next move is like, okay, yeah, I'm going to exclusively serve a niche that can pay me well, so that I'm not, trying to figure out where money's coming from. Right. So now, if you're emerging, we're still not kind of like brand new. I don't have a business yet, but if you are emerging, you've got your program figured out, you've started to serve some people, started to talk to your people, we can absolutely help you. We've got some cool things that we do on that front. But yeah, I started working in this business and could really see what was going on behind the scenes in the marketing department, and could really see the gaps. And one of the biggest gaps / opportunities that I really noticed was that, we spent a lot of time on lead generation. Like, they were always figuring out the top of the funnel, how we're going to get new leads into the funnel and all that stuff. And when I say funnel, I'm talking about like the traditional internet marketing funnel. So, the freebie, and then some emails, and then you sell a thing and hope for the best. So we spent a lot of time.
Hope for the best. I think that's what I did the first year and a half.
Right. And that's what most people do. That's what most people are taught to do. Right. So that's kind of, where we spent a lot of time. And if it wasn't that, we were spending the rest of the time on launch stuff. Launch, 60 email launch sequences, webinars, and the whole shebang with ads and everything else. So we're always in these two places of lead gen and launch time. And me being the content creator for this beautiful woman who did not mean to have me kind of creating, content around the clock, and yay me for having opportunities to learn to grow boundaries and all that good stuff.
Right.
I really created the nurture matrix from a very selfish place, selfish, but
Yes.
serving. I was just like, there needs to be a better way. I need to find a way for this, team that I'm in, for us to get off the content creation treadmill, because we're always like churning things out all the time, whether it's lead gen or launch. And then in the middle, it's like, oh, we should probably send a newsletter, something soft and nice, because we've emailed them about our offer 60 million times. So it just was this, like, you can feel the energy as I'm talking about it, right? It's
I
like
know. It's exhausting on every end.
Yeah, it was just this frenetic pace, right? And then the other piece of it was like, how do we get off the content creation treadmill? And, so that was the first place that I approached it. And then I was like, we're not even having any fun doing any of these launches anyway. Like, I certainly know, like, I could see the stress on, on my boss / clients, space, and what it was doing for her and her family and everything else. And I'm like, is there a way that, like, we can just make launches and go away?
Yeah.
And PS, fast forward to today, we're still really great friends. I still support her masterminds in some places. But it was like, as the realization of me saying, like, do we have to do this launch thing? When I went off to create the agency, she actually kind of figured out how to stop, like, the launch thing in her own business, because it was meaning, and I share that to say, like, this just wasn't my perception of her. Right. Not like, I'm saying, like, facts on the ground today, she does not launch because it's painful. It can be. It doesn't have to be. It can be.
But that goes back to that comprehensive decision making of, like, logically what you're taught is you launch, you create, you launch, you create, you launch, you create. But when you hit the body and you go to your intuition, you're like, in my Lead from Within program, we got to go 3 for 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it's not 3 for 3, it's, to use your word, it's not balanced. We use the word harmonize.
Yeah.
But if it's not in harmony, something is spiky, something is gross, it's this face. Like, what?
Exactly. Like,
exactly. Is there a better way to do it? How is a better way to do it? And I wrote it down and circled it again. The key to that, what I heard you say, was being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about how sacred selfishness is, please?
Yes.
Can you give me your definition of selfish? Because I think everybody's got just a little hit, but you use language beautifully, and I'd love to know.
Yeah. Self-focused.
Yeah.
Is my new, because again, I used to carry, like, huge guilt around the selfish thing. Like, it's, I'm the eldest child of, immigrant parents, I'm Black, like, there's, all female, like, there's all the pieces that would have me say, look, everybody else comes first. Right.
How did you shift from that? Because I think that's a dance. I think it's an evolution. I think it's a realization, but I'm curious your process.
A little bit of coaching, a little bit of therapy, lots of reading, journaling, some healing, modalities. Like, there was a lot that went through, and I still, kind of have to stop and sort of be, am I doing this because I want to, or am I doing this because I'm supposed to? Is there a way to do this that is a little bit more self-focused? Or am I just going to choose in this instant that I am cool with being a little altruistic? Because that's cool sometimes too, right?
Yeah. But being a choice.
Exactly. And being aware, like, conscious choice, as opposed to letting it happen to you. So there was a lot that kind of had to rejigger. But to tell you the catalyst, like, the real catalyst for it for me was, the body doesn't lie, right? Hit the body. So hit the body like a cosmic 2x4, right? So I ended up with a little bit of thyroid situation, was, like, not feeling well, like, all those pieces. And I go see my naturopath, for the first time. And I'm like, well, yeah, my thyroid's, levels are really elevated. This is about 2.5 years ago. I'm like, my doctor says, don't worry, because it's not high enough that I need medication. I'm like, well, that sounds terrible.
Right. Just make sure it gets worse.
That's exactly it. Right. Like, yay, Canadian free healthcare. Also, they need to have something to give you a pill for. That's how they do. Right.
And you're healthy enough to not need us, but
right?
Not healthy enough to be thriving,
to feel well. Exactly. To be thriving. Right. Cause I'm, like, experiencing digestive things, like hormonal imbalance, like all the different pieces. I'm like, this is not making sense. My naturopath, the first intake you go and they like do your whole kind of like life history and kind of talk about the things. And so I start explaining kind of the last, the 5 years or so prior, or maybe, 4, whatever, years prior. Yeah. And I'm explaining this piece of like, starting a new agency and, having my second child and, and I end it all and I'm like, but everything's really good now.
Can we talk about that?
But it was from a business is working, clients are flowing, like the thing that I'd worked so hard to kind of figure out over the, I've been an entrepreneur. I've had my own business for 11 years now. Right. So this is year 3 of the agency. So I would say the first kind of 6 to 7, a little bit struggle bunny, a little bit strugglesville. Do you know, you know what I mean? Like I had a couple of years in there where it was like, okay, the time that I was explaining where I was like, I need to take a break. And I kind of took more of a stable contract. Like that was a part of that. It was like, I can't climb uphill any longer. I need some stasis.
Yes.
Right. And so doing that really did what I, hoped that it would do, which was kind of give me some stability so that I could actually think about like, what do I want to do and to see and to receive opportunity. Right. So the naturopath is like, yeah, except for here's the thing. when he's great. Shout out to Dr. Ladd. He's like, you see, when your body, feels like it can relax, that's actually the place when it like remembers the trauma that you put it through for the past, however long. And he's like, what you're describing to me is like a very high stress existence for the past however long. And like, now that you are, you feel mentally like you're like, oh, this is okay. Your body is like, okay, yeah, we actually have time to like, let her know what's going on. Right.
Yes. And there's something sacred about that time. And there's something really irritating as high achieving women to go, but I took the break. Like I knew I was supposed to take the break. I did take the break. And now my body has something to say, like, catch up, body. What are we doing?
Exactly. Yeah. So crazy that that's how it all came to be. But essentially, me getting self-focused. And this was even before I started to kind of, like before my body had the opportunity to kind of say, hi, hello, excuse me. But it was being self-focused while I was working with that 7-figure business owner to say like that had me look at, just as you had said, like, what's a better way? How's a better way? And that's where this idea that like, holy crap, like what if, hold on, hang out with me for a second here. What if we actually look at our marketing the way that we do in Business 101? Right. The way that we do in Business 101 is that every business needs to have, some way that we attract new leads, some way that we prepare these new leads to buy, and some way that we enroll these new leads. We are spending heaps and oodles of money and time and energy and everything else on the lead generation and on the conversion. We're just kind of like throwing shit out whenever we can in the middle, in that place where we're supposed to be nurturing. Okay, so Business 101, and it's 101 because it's like just the way that it is since forever and ever and amen, right? If that rings true, if we actually spend some time and get strategic in the middle of our funnel, our launches probably won't be that intense. And what if there's a way that we can really isolate what needs to happen in the middle of the funnel, really get super intentional with it, put some real thought into what has to happen there. I'm like, it can't be that we would be like needing to come up with all these different ways to say and do things. No. When people are coming through a buying journey, as long as we've got our avatar, we're super clear in terms of who we're speaking to, they're essentially going to go through not the exact same, nobody is exact same, but a very similar sort of process to buy. That's why they're our ideal customers. We start to get to know who they are. So we start to understand what their buyer's journey is. Well, guess what? We can isolate what those messages are.
Yep.
Right? Put them on repeat, put them on blast, and have people be a whole hell of a lot readier to buy more quickly. Right. And so that's where the Nurture Matrix came into be. And so it's 90 days of evergreen nurture content that we roll across email and social media, with the sole purpose of giving your ideal clients everything they need to see, hear, feel, know, understand, so they can like raise their hand, lean in and say, hey, like, can we work together? And it works. And it, to your point, as you're sharing with your experience, it's like, you're waiting for something like, different, or for me to get like, oh no, it needs to be more serious or whatever else. I actually can't work with people who who don't know their people and don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't, that's why I said, like, brand new is not really our sweet spot, because there's a lot of guessing that goes into it, but I don't have to second guess your intuition, really. Certainly if I see things, or if I see something, if I see a gap, if I see something missing, if I feel like different language might serve you better.
Yep.
You know, especially if you're evolving who you're working with. But, you know, we started working together at a time where you were really clear on, like, you've got some real clear kind of like folks that signal to you, like, this is where my joy is. So that was a really great timing for you.
Yep.
But for folks that are like sitting back and waiting for me to say, like, tell me who my people are and what I should say, I'm like, you're looking at the wrong gal, because, like, this is a collaboration. I know that, you know, what I'm here to do is reflect it back to you and to organize it and to give you a system to basically systematize it.
And there's such a, at least for me as a business owner, there's such a relief for me. And I'm a high systems person. I love a good system with soul. I love a good strategy with soul, because it has to support me first. Like, me first is a real thing. And knowing, like, when we were collaborating, and when you go through Tamika's process, it is so comprehensive, and this is not a done for you at the beginning type of thing. It can be at the end. But when she sends you everything that you're working through, it is a journey for you as a business owner. And it's like, God, I really do know who I love working with. I really do love who I work with. I want them to know specifically what we're actually going to do. And your system helped me to hone it. It helped me to go, oh, I do know, I do get it.
Yeah.
But I think what you're genius at is, where's my gap?
Right.
And I am very specific and strategic about who I hire. Like, it matters. I need to know so much about you before I hire you. And you've always been really that safe place for me to do that work. I appreciate that about you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. My God. Like, there's a relief in knowing the system, and there's a relief in knowing that someone's going to see you for you, and that you don't have to change that. If anything, you have to go deeper.
That's exactly it. That really is the place where, you know, for not for you, because you really got it and you're like, oh, okay, great. We can go right down the rabbit hole. Yeah. For some folks, that is the place where often I'll say, yeah, like, you know, take it further. Like, they need to know more, go deeper. You know, it's like, expand that a little bit more, right? That, like, that permission to really expand, so that your ideal clients, like, they really, they get it. They get you. They get that same, just what you're describing, Heidi, about having that, like, safe place to land, and, you know, really wanting to know somebody before hiring them. Your ideal clients need that too. And they need it in a different way than a lot of people think. A lot of people think that the way that they need it is by you know, kind of like hashtag vulnerability post and, like, bearing your soul and everything else. And if that's your style, it can totally work. But what they really need for you to do is for you to, like, peel back the layers, go really deep into what they're experiencing, what's going on for them, and how you see them. So it's like this real meta situation, right? It's like, you know, me seeing you, you know, and then you seeing them and them receiving that, right? Like, that's really what it's about.
Yeah. And I think that there is, at least for me, that having the relief of knowing my messaging, knowing next week, this is what it looks like, knowing that 3 weeks from now, this is what it looks like. It's helped me to coach more effectively, because I'm not thinking about my content so much. And I have never been like, content creation isn't the thing. I'm more of a, what are my clients saying and how do I react? Like, that's a generator style.
Yep. Absolutely.
And that's a very generator thing to do.
Very.
But there is something really soothing for me to be able to go into, like, a coaching call and not be thinking about my content, not be going, I know I need to be present on this coaching call, but I also know I don't have anything in the wheelhouse for the next. Now it's like, I'm done through the end of this month. And I've been done for a week. And I'm feeling pretty sassy about it.
I love that. And you know, my biggest hope, really, and one of the reasons that we do what we do, is that I believe, you know, when you have that space freed up, what comes through for you to really communicate to your people. And as a result, what comes through for you to bring to people who haven't even worked with you yet. There's so much space for that. You being present on your coaching calls now means that if something comes up that you like, that, you kind of ping, you're like, ooh, this would be like a further refinement, or something that's really helpful for someone who hasn't worked with me yet to know, you can bring that into your content. And you can kind of think strategically about where you would bring that into your content instead of being like half listening to the call, half taking a note so that you can get off the call and go make, a post. And maybe sometimes there is space and it's just that salient that you want to like, share about it right then, but you actually get to be an opener. My words are good. A more open channel, right, to receiving, kind of the messages that you're meant to share with the collective right now, right?
And I think that really, you've been on my radar for at least a year of someone that I was like, I need this, but I really, truly, I needed to talk to more people. I needed to get very clear. And one of the things they tell you, and it's all shit, by the way, like don't throw spaghetti at the wall. I totally disagree with that. I think for the first little while in your business, you need to.
Do. Absolutely. I agree. I'm on team spaghetti. I'm on team spaghetti. I'm on team spaghetti.
Okay,
yeah.
That's a quote.
Write it down.
I'm on team.
There's a time and a place. There's a time and a place for it. The time and the place where it becomes counterproductive and a waste of your damn time is when you have done the thing. Like when you've been, enrolling people consistently, when you've been like, when your spaghetti starts to be like, did I cook that last week? That's when
totally
right. That's when it's like, hold on a second. Yeah.
I do know what's sticking. I think what has been so interesting in my own process is the thing that sticks is also the thing that I didn't think would stick.
Of course.
The thing that stuck was like, can I talk about reverence?
Mm-hmm.
Can I talk about sacred anything without people glossing over going, oh God, no, that like when I bring the word reverence in, there is people go, oh, that feels so good.
Yeah.
And the thing that stuck was like, oh, shoot, they want that. Oh God, I'm going to talk about God. I'm going to talk about spirit. We're going to do oracle card. Like what? All the stuff that I was not going to do was the stuff that stuck. And even now when I look at my spreadsheet, my sexy spreadsheet together, I'm like, this is the best of what I know right now. Yeah. This is the deepest. And it's not talking about vulnerability posts. I am a pretty open book. And I'm a believer in timing. Like the stuff that I am working through right now isn't going to maybe ever become content, or it will in like 6 months from now.
Absolutely.
So for me, the vulnerability post that I'm posting now is like, I've done the healing work. I've done the therapy. I've done the coaching around it. I don't need anybody's approval. I don't need anybody's like, oh, poor Heidi. That's not
the intention.
But having the strategy has been amazing. And I do want to know why you named it Orisha. Can you like clue me in on names? Clue me in. I know a little bit, but can you talk about why you named your agency what you did?
For sure. So Orisha in the Yoruban tradition are, you could liken them to deities or goddesses, right? You could liken them to that. But really what they do, in my interpretation, of what they do is they are, they're more like demigods, I would say, even than goddesses, right? Because they do come to the earthly plane and they are conduits between heaven and earth, really designed to help people fulfill their purpose. And sometimes that looks like doing all the good things, and sometimes it's not. Again, how the god goddess, right? Exactly, like the duality, right? Like that shows up too. But large and in part, it's this. Their purpose is to help others fulfill their purpose. And so for me with Orisha, like that's really what we're here to do. We work with, mentors, teachers, leaders, coaches, who are here with really big callings to serve a lot of people. And they can't do that if they are like trying to figure out what they're going to post next week, to bring it to real tangible terms, right? If their marketing is like spiraling out of control, to your point, they can't be present on a call or in an interview or something like that. They're trying to figure out, they've got all the other stuff running in the back of their heads, never mind they are, sisters, brothers, wives, they've got all the other roles that they play, in their lives. so for me, this is, you know, and what we do at Orisha in the Nurture Matrix, it really is a foundation from which, you know, it's kind of like that, I feel that like elevation, right? That foundation from which they can kind of spring forward and really do what the heck it is that they came here to do. And so like our logo has the wings, and for me, it's kind of this angelic sort of wrapping around of your message and your purpose, and helping it to reach more people, because we've done the job. Again, it's not the more is more situation, but because we've done and taken the time to get really clear and intentional about the narrow scope of messages that need to show up on repeat. That's how we fill our purpose.
I love that. And I mean, obviously purpose is such a huge part of what I do.
Yeah.
And I think it is why I've resonated from the beginning, really, of when I met you through Body Mind, where it was like, oh, I got to know this chick. Like, I got to know what she's doing. Like, to be able to watch that evolution happen. And then really, truly to have been, I just am so grateful for your purpose, because it's helping me do my purpose, which helps other women do their purpose. And
exactly.
it becomes that ripple effect that's really, but it stands on that foundation of something really practical, really strategic, and strategies with soul. That's the whole thing.
Exactly.
Like, I think sometimes because it's kind of like having a good bra, right? Like, I know that
I'm with you. Give it
maybe
to
that
me.
is like the nicest comparison, but it makes all the difference. You're like, it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Right. But it does.
Having the right support, having the right garments, having something beautiful, having something that's structural, it does support everything else. And you can go through your day feeling pretty damn perky and pretty damn good about yourself. And there is something about collaborating with other women and collaborating with women who have a similar value set, who are also going to be like, hey, have you thought about it this way? I was going to say I don't trust everyone easily, but I don't think that's right. I think I'm very intentional about who I invest with. I'm very strategic when it comes to where my money's going. And you have been such a values match for me. And it's such a privilege to know you. And so I'm reading your bio, and I do have a couple of questions, and then we're going to shift to Heidi's Big Five. But I got to know how music affects you, because you talk about your Spotify playlist in like the bathtub, which I love. Tell me, like, how does music affect you? Why is that a big deal?
I read a term for it somewhere. But I'm convinced that I'm one of those people who like feels the music. You know, some people like feel colors and that kind of thing. But like, you know, it really, it has a profound impact on my mood, on my ability to even do certain things. Like I can clean. I don't love to clean. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes someone else does it for me. But if I have to, if I put on the right playlist, like it gets done. Like it doesn't even feel like I'm actually doing the thing, which to me is some sort of magical hypnosis trick, but it literally transports me in a very, in a very beneficial way. Like it's the way that I can
to right now. Like what's a song that you're like on repeat, or it's that song? You know how you have that song?
Yeah. There is Taurus Riley. It's like he's a dancehall-ish, but not on the like grind, like the grind dance hall, but like the I don't know what they call them now. It's like feels like neo reggae. I don't know. Maybe like I don't know, because again, Spotify just gives me the things. But it's a song called Light or Lighter, something like that.
Oh, I love it. I've been jamming to India RE right now. Like I just get enough, and it's retro stuff, but it's so good. Like I Am Light by her right now is just God, it feeds the soul. And
right. It does, right?
So one thing that I've done with my nurture content, no joke, is I'm starting that playlist of like, I know. So we need to like add that in, like that thing of what are you listening to while you're creating? Because like, who is it? Leon Bridges. Is that right?
Yeah. I love Leon Bridges.
Oh my God. All day, every day. Like just sing. I don't care. Like sing the phone book and I don't care.
Sing me the recipe I'm cooking for dinner.
100%. But there is something about the sensory experience of music. And so I love that you referenced it. It just like, it caught my attention. I love it.
Yeah. I love it. I'm telling you, Spotify, like I bow down a little bit to Spotify because I can't really see how I would learn new music
I get
without
that.
Spotify. Like I'm very much an old soul. Like if it's, and so my playlist is very eclectic, like very like to the, like there's Billy Joel.
Yeah.
There's, and then there's like, I don't know, like any kind of gangster rap. Like we can go all over everywhere.
One of the reasons I love soundtracks when I was a kid.
Yes, because you get them.
Yes, it was very rare that I loved an album from start to
Right.
finish. There might have been like Janet Jackson, Rhythm Nation
Mhm.
might have
Mhm.
been the only one start to finish where I loved
Right.
every song. I wore the tape out, like I broke the tape. Right?
That's that was me with Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Yeah.
Yes, that whole album. God, I'm in college right now. That's so good. But there is something about a soundtrack where you would get all of the different genres, all of the different, like the Sister Act 2 soundtrack, don't judge, but I freaking loved it.
No,
like,
but it was good.
Lauryn Hill, like how could you just sing His Eye is on the Sparrow to me every day? And
yes, young baby Lauren.
Oh my God, she was so good. Yeah. Jennifer Love Hewitt in that movie, like baby Jennifer Love Hewitt, so funny. Oh my God. Okay, so as we are, now I'm just geeking out with you, but as we're like putting a bow on this such a fun spaciousness, like gorgeous interview with you, we are going to switch to Heidi's Big Five, and I think I know the answer to a couple of these, but I always get surprised. So the first question that I have, I just want you to define this. Leadership is what?
Ooh. Leadership is your ability to enroll others in a vision that's bigger than all of you collectively.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry. Good one.
Thank you.
Hold on, I gotta like get my feet again. That was really beautiful. Oh, I gotta timestamp that one. Dude, well played. Okay.
Thank you.
The most recent life-changing book. I know you're an avid reader.
Ooh, like, oh my goodness. I'm like looking.
I know.
Do you know what I listened to? Actually, and I'm listening to it again. It was that good. Raw Goddess, Making Money, Making Change.
Okay. What did you love about it? Follow-up question.
Yeah. Actually, the entire thing is like strategies with soul. Like she's talking about, and some of it is like, you can tell geared, and I actually don't think it's a book. I think it was a workshop she did through Sounds True, but it's an audiobook or whatever that I'm listening to. But the way that she marries purpose with profit and the lens that she puts on, again, like not necessarily things that I've never, ever, ever, ever heard before, but just hearing, again, it's language. So the way that her particular phrasing of certain things, and also she actually narrates it. Okay. And her voice is just like, totally. Right. So like, I'm just like,
it's honey.
Yeah. It's like honey. I will listen to this as I go to bed and, it will all seep in. It's just, it's really, really great. But I'm actually going to go through, because it does bring you through, again, reconnecting with values, reconnecting with vision, all those pieces that how important they are to just kind of.
And I also know how often they get bypassed.
Exactly.
How often
exactly.
I know.
Yeah, I know that, right? And I know that they're important, and I am someone who loves to kind of like check in, distill down. Again, words are really important. So it's not that my values change necessarily, but the particular flavor, the language that I use gets refined as I go. And so I like the exercises that are in there also. But yeah, that was really good.
One of the ones that's been distilled and refined for me, it was comfort. And what I'm recognizing now is it's actually luxuriousness. Like there's a physiology that hits differently because it's like more fluid, it's fuller. I love the distillation. That makes so much sense to me. It used to be safety, and I realized it wasn't really safety. It was comfort. And now it's like, comfort and so if you revise your values again, like, but anytime you hit that should be your invitation to go, whoa, hold on a second. Whoa, hold on, we need to revisit. Okay, agree. Okay, are you a night owl or an early bird?
I'm a night owl who has to go to early bird school.
I know.
Regularly, like early bird, like reform camp. I don't know, because truly, if left to my own vices, like if I had a week, no children, like I would probably be like, this is me in the middle of the night, like thinking all kinds of random things at like 2 a.m. And, you've got kids and stuff like that. So there's the waking up that happens. But yeah, I would like, our business office hours, like we don't start till 10 o'clock for a reason. I don't book meetings until
11.
Yeah, for a reason. Yeah. Cause if you want the best of me, it's got to be a little bit later. Yeah. But I'm getting an appreciation. Like I've been committed to a like exercise sort of practice a couple days a week. And I've been doing it I've realized that if I try to say I'm going to do it later in the day, it's like not going to happen. So I am appreciating the morning for that, like in that space of like not fully awake and having like the things that I can get myself to do that I previously would have been like later, maybe, okay, maybe not. I appreciate the openness to suggestion that I have at 7 a.m.
So well said. There is like the lucidity that happens where it's like,
that's the word. Exactly.
I will meditate. Okay.
Exactly.
I will hit my mat.
Exactly.
Okay. I will drink, one of my bottles of water. Like,
exactly.
Because I'm not quite rigid
yeah
yet.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. So I do appreciate the morning for that. Cause there's nothing that's gonna make me do that in the nighttime.
And as long as I've got like my workout clothes set out, I'll put them on. It might be begrudgingly, but I do find myself outside at 6 a.m. going, how did I get here?
Yeah, totally. It's literally like, oh wow, I'm moving my body.
I did it. Yeah, I'm tired and I'm moving. Okay, so I know the answer to this, but I am curious your definition. So the question is, do you believe in magic?
Yes.
What is your definition of magic?
Magic is the ability to create in your life, create your reality, that which you desire, right? It's the ability to direct energy to create what you want.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so this is the final question. People are going to be watching this, right? And people are going to like love it. They're going to go, God, I want this girl in my life. And I'm going to be like, yeah, hit her up. And in a moment, I'm going to give you all of the ways that you can get a hold of Tamika. And what would you like like the legacy of today's show to be? So when people are like, hey, you got to go watch this. What's the legacy of today's show?
I really think our conversation around self-focus is that's the big takeaway here that I'd love everyone to walk away with, because when you're self-focused, especially as a business owner,
and as a mom,
yeah, and if you're both of them, what that's like. But the self-focus is what has you examine everything in your business and your life to create the experience that you want. Being self-focused for me is what had me create the nurture matrix. Being self-focused for you is what had you consider hiring me, because you're like, well, I don't want to be doing this thing where I am on coaching calls, thinking about content and scrambling around like a crazy bird. Right. So it's that self-focus that actually has you explore. Is there another way? And again, to the language I use, it's like, is there another way? How is the other way? That self-focus, I think, is everything.
Love that. And I love collaborating with other women who get the self-focus. I mean, that's how Lead From Within came. It's like, how do I get to be first?
Yeah.
Because when women are first, we're naturally going to include other people. We're very naturally going to create for others in it, but there's not as much effort.
Yeah.
There's so much more ease when I get to go first, when I'm fed first, when my sheets are awesome, when my towels are great, when I have a yummy robe, when I am priority number one. And there, of course, are seasons of life where you may not be.
Of course.
And I get that. I do think that the women that come in to work with me are at that season where it's like everyone else has been first for a super long time. Now it's my turn. And I love collaborating with women like you who get it.
Yeah.
And we speak to it in a way that's actually empowering and not the true definition of selfish. Right? The exclusionary word.
Exactly.
Self-focused is gorgeous. So I know people are going to be like, how can I work with her? Where can we find you? How do they connect with you? Tell me everything.
Yes. We're up in the gram at Arisha Creative, and you can find us on Facebook at Arisha Creative as well. We're probably more active on Insta, I would say. And go
check out her new headshots.
Thank you.
I mean, what a knockout. But the whoever did that's purple, it's regal, it's
Yes.
sophisticated, it's
Well,
sexy.
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, really, really
I will
well.
take a bow for the styling because, that's where the fashion background comes in.
So awesome.
And yeah, our photographer just really, Rebel House Studios, they just nailed the vision and we had a gorgeous space. Thank you. I was really happy with how that came out.
Yeah,
As well.
beautiful.
We just got some branding, like, Insta templates and stuff created as well, which was fun. So we're up leveling the brand because we have spaciousness to do that now.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like not the first thing you need to look at, but over time, you start to,
the way I experienced watching the evolution was that it's a deepening.
Yeah.
Like it's an up level for sure, but it's like, it was the physical representation of who you already are. So go check her out on Instagram. They're really beautiful. And it's not styled like every other glam person. It's so her. And you'll love it, and reach out to her. I know you've got programs that you're offering right now. I know that many of them are evergreen.
Yes. Many of them are evergreen. Yes. On the gram, if you hit up the link in our bio, you'll see all the cool things. A really great resource for folks to check out if they're like, like, what am I doing right now from a nurture perspective? Am I doing anything? Is it doing anything? We have a really great free resource called the Nurture Opportunity Scorecard. You can go to nurturematrix.com/scorecard, and it'll help you kind of see the opportunities and gaps hiding within your existing sort of email and social, what you're doing right now. Talk about some of those messaging pieces. It's like a self-assessment and has a little bit of a training. So that's really super duper helpful. And then, the way that we work with folks, we don't do launches. I can tell you launch PTSD. So I won't ever have a launch. I won't ever have a launch business. My team is like, we need to talk about that. Like, should we do a launch? I'm like, we can always be enrolling and we can do it in a way that is with integrity. But yeah, we enroll a couple different programs each month. One is the full depth done for you experience for kind of more established folks and kind of the high multi 6 to 7 figure. But yeah, we do have a really great intensive experience for folks who are in the emerging space. I would say you want to, you want to have some success enrolling. So you're probably closer to 6 figures. Don't necessarily have to be over or like multi, but you want to be, you've seen a track record of success with what you're doing so far, because you've got to have a certain understanding of who your people are. You don't know all the things yet, but you have to have put some spaghetti out there, right? Some of the spaghetti has gone up. You're starting to see some things stick, and then we can help you collapse that down so you're not continually throwing spaghetti out. And it's done in a way and at a price point that means that, if you need to refine or come back to us later, it hasn't been your entire, budget in your firstborn child or anything like that, right? So we've got that going on as well. You can find all the details there, or I know Heidi will drop the links below, but arishacreative.com or nurturematrix.com.
I love it. And you all know that I do not refer you to anyone that I haven't either worked with or that I love. And it took me a year and a half, probably, to get to the point where this was the right next step. And I'm so grateful to have been able to take a step. And I've invested a crap ton of money in coaching and systems that have the best marketing, and they have all of these promises and they fall flat. When you invest with Tamika, really, truly, you will get a comprehensive experience. And she's not paying me to say that. Like, it's just
so great. Thank you.
It's just true. And so if you are at that space, even if you are like at the beginning of your business, go do that scorecard. You're going to see everything that you need, even if you're not doing it yet. So at every stage of your business, you're going to be inspired by her. And as a friend and as a colleague, I am inspired by you. I'm grateful for you. And thank you for being with me today.
Oh, my pleasure. This was such a great conversation. Oh my goodness.
Good.
I love it.
I'm glad you loved it. Thank you. So sit tight just a second. We're going to wrap and I'll be right back with you. So friends, thank you so much for watching Strategies with Soul. I'm so grateful that you were able to join us today. Stay tuned next week. We've got another wonderful guest I can't wait to share with you. And be well. Go and live your life with purpose, values, and boundaries. And I will see you so very soon. Be well. Bye.